Hey, good morning. We'll begin with some Shulchan Aruch. I saw a couple of days ago somebody uploaded a very interesting statement. It said, remember to wash your hands, and remember you're in God's hands." So that's a kind of simple thing to remember. B'derech hateva, you wash your hands, and B'derech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who also runs the Teva, we put ourselves in his hands. So that's a wonderful bumper sticker to put all over the place. Wash your hands and put yourself in God's hands. What I wanted to look at today was halacha in Shulchan Aruch, which was, I don't know if it's been distributed, but it's halacha, Hilchas Natilas Yadayim. Before you eat bread, before you eat a Suda, without getting into the complexities of what you eat, but basically we always think about bread. Sometimes you have to wash on other things as well. We learned that for the night of the Seder. Before you eat the potato dipped in salt water karpas, we wash our hands without a bracha. But we're used to the idea that you wash your hands before you eat bread. Now, why do we wash our hands before we eat bread? And we're going to see the halacha why we wash our hands before we eat bread. It's Siman Kuf Nun Ches in Shulchan Aruch. Begins Netilas Yadayim L'Suda. The Beis Yosef says in Shulchan Aruch, K'shiyavoy lechol pas shemavorchen alav hamoitzi. When a person is going to eat bread upon which you make a hamoitzi, yitol yodov, you wash your hands, afilu eini yodei lahem shum tuma, even if you know that your hands, you don't have any positive knowledge that your hands came into contact with anything impure. You still have to wash your hands for bread. V'yivarech al natilas yadayim. You break a brach al natilas yadayim. I'm going to divert for a moment. Bracha. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu al natilas yadayim. Or Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu al achilas matzah. Whatever the bracha is, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvari. Whatever the bracha is, we spoke last week at the shir. The Ramchal in the Das Tvunos talks about the great test we have before Mashiach comes of Gilui Hayichud. Gilui Hayichud means demonstrating, understanding, believing. Understanding and believing, they're not the same thing. Understanding means you rationally understand this in your brain because you think about it and you understand it that way and you believe in it in your heart. So every time we make a bracha, we have an opportunity for Gilui Hayichud. Gilui Hayichud means that the Ribono Shalom is the only one that runs the world. Every little microbe in the world is run by him. Where the microbe goes is determined by him. There is nothing left to chance. He is the Shalit Bakol. He runs and controls everything. And every time we make a bracha, we have the opportunity to say, Melech HaOlam, King of the world. We have an opportunity to give a little extra kavanah now at Melech HaOlam. You are the king of the world. You are the sovereign of the world. I accept your sovereignty, and I put myself in your wonderful protective hands. And we can do that every time we make a bracha. Melech HaOlam. You are the king of the world. Whether it's a bracha before you eat, it's a bracha before you do a mitzvah. Melech HaOlam. Say it slowly and think about what it means to declare the Ribono Shalom, the Melech HaOlam. So before we eat bread, we have to wash our hands, and everybody's getting used to washing their hands. There was a funny list on someone's blog about possible things that we'd like to keep going very quickly after this virus leaves us. And one of the things he wrote was, can we keep on washing our hands even after this goes away? It's a good habit to wash your hands. Hygiene is a wonderful habit. So the Mishnah Berurah says, why do we wash our hands? He's explaining a Gemara. Why do we wash our hands before we eat bread? And the answer is because we're waiting for the Beis Hamikdash to be built. Mishnah Berurah is going to explain that. The reason why Chazal, our sages, decreed that before we eat bread, we should wash our hands is because we're so looking forward to the Binyan Beis Hamikdash. Immediately, we want to be prepared for the Beis Hamikdash. What does washing your hands have to do with the Beis Hamikdash? Now, everybody washes their hands today. We're all into washing our hands. So why, before we eat bread, do we wash our hands? And here's the Mishnah Berurah. Tam takonas netila hu mishnei dvarim. The reason why our sages decreed that we should wash our hands is for two reasons. Echad mipnei sarach truma. One is because we're trying to protect truma that Kohanim eat when the Beis Hamikdash stood. We're trying to protect that. Why? V'hainu kiven diyadayim askaniyas heim v'noigim b'chol davar. The hands of a person are constantly busy. You're always touching things, right? You're always touching things. Today we're being told not to touch anything. Don't touch metal, don't touch cardboard, don't touch plastic. But when things were before this Makkah, everybody would touch everything. You walk down the steps, you held the banister. And since nobody keeps track of what they touched, and at the time when the rules of Tumah and Tahara were applicable, Kohanim ate Truma. So because a Kohen's hands is like the hands of any other human being, and the hands of human beings touch everything. So a Kohen's hand, he doesn't have a cheshbon of what the last thing he touched was or what he has touched. So a Kohen had to wash his hands before he ate Truma. Okay. So there should be a rule that Kohanim, before they eat, have to wash their hands. Why does every Jew who's not a Kohen, who doesn't eat Truma, why must he wash his hands? So the Mishnah Berurah continues, Ukidei shiu regilim hakohanim bazeh, gozu gamkein al kol ish Yisrael ha'ochel pas, she'asa lechol ad sheyitol yodov. In order to make sure that the Kohanim would continue washing their hands, so the sages said every Jew is going to wash their hands, because otherwise it becomes confusing. If you have 2-3 Kohanim over for your meal, they have to wash. The Levi doesn't have to. You don't have to. It becomes confusing, and people will going to forget who has to wash and who doesn't have to wash. So when Chazal instituted the rule of washing your hands for bread for Kohanim, so they wouldn't be metame and contaminate their truma, they made this a blanket rule for all Jewish people. V'gam achshav, the Mishnah Berurah says, and even now, she'ena kohanim ochlin truma mipnei hatuma. Kohanim cannot eat truma because we're all ritually defiled. Lo batla takonazu. We don't stop. The takana still exists. Now, why do we keep on washing our hands for bread? There's no truma today. Kohanim don't eat truma. So Mishnah Berurah says we still wash our hands today. Kidei shu regilim b'nei Yisrael she'ibone beis hamikdash b'mher v'yameinu lechol b'tahara. Because we want to keep our training intact. Because in a minute, in a second, we're going to have a beis hamikdash. And when we have the Beis Hamikdash, Kohanim will be able to eat Truma. And when they have to eat Truma, they're going to have to wash your hands. And the takana of the sages is going to come back in full strength. Everyone will have to wash their hands. So I can wait. I can wait. Why am I washing my hands for the last 2,000 years? When the Beis Hamikdash is built, Beis Hamikdash is built, b'mherib yameinu, we're going to hear Mashiach give us a shir. Mashiach is going to tell us, from now on, start washing your hands again. What was the purpose? I understand the Mishnah Berurah says, keep on washing your hands because the Beis Hamikdash could be built at any moment, and you need to Be ready to wash your hands. Seder. That's a very nice concept. When Mashiach comes and he says, I'm here, Mashiach will say, and now start washing your hands. Why are we washing our hands now for? Okay. I'm going to now do something a little different. We're going to answer the question, but I'm going to do a little something different now. The last men's share that we had in Beis Tefillah when we were Baruch Hashem face to face, and Mamish B'Mheira we're going to be again face to face. I spoke about a CD, a song, a new CD that came out by Yisrael Werdiger. It's an unbelievable CD. When he put it out, it was before any of this started. But it's a whole CD of songs. Every single song talks about a situation that we're in right now. It's an amazing CD. And I'm going to play for you one song now because it's going to be about a pasuk we're going to talk about. He wrote a song called Vayehi B'Chatzi Halayla, and it was at midnight. We know that the Makas B'Chayris occurred at midnight. And the Rabbanu Shalom, one of the reasons Pesach is called Pesach, we all learned this as children. Pesach means Hashem jumped over the Jewish houses. If there was a Jew in a house marked by blood on the two mezuzos and the mashkov, Hashem jumped over that house, so to speak, kaviyachol, and he didn't send the plague of B'chayris into that house. So although when you see blood, what do you think of first? Death. There's blood all over this house. There must be death in this house. It was just the opposite. By having blood on the two doorposts and on the lintel, it meant that there's living in this house because the blood is also a source of life. Blood is the source of life. The blood on a Jewish door doesn't indicate death. The blood on a Jewish door indicates that a Jew lives here, and it's a house in which there's life. And so Yisrael Werdiger wrote a song called Vayehi B'Chatzi Halayla. And it was in the middle of the night. Now it's in Yiddish. It's on your handout, the words. And I'll read the words and explain them in English, and then you can hear a song. Vayehi B'Chatzi Halayla. And it was at midnight. Bashefer geht ausleisen seine Kinder. The creator of the world is about to redeem his children. Der Nacht geht erweisen seine Wunder. It is on this night that he's going to show his wonders. Auf jede Yiddish Haus, on every Jewish house. A Tencel geht arois. And the Jews are going to walk out their houses and they're going to be dancing. Mit Liebschaft schreit arois. And with love for God, a Jew screams out when he leaves his house, Da wohnt a Yid, da wohnt a Yid, da wohnt a Yid. This is a house that a Jew lives in, and that's why I'm walking out now dancing, God save me. It is a Yiddish shtib. It's a Jewish house. A bayis mala oira, a house filled with light. A bayis mala Torah, a house filled with Torah. A bayis mala kedusha, a house filled with holiness. Das is a Yiddish shtub. This is a Jewish home. And I'll play the song now. It's good to listen to music too, to lift up our spirits.
Vayehi bachatzi halaylo der Bachshefer geht uns leisen seine Kinder Vayehi bachatzi halaylo Otter Nacht geht weisen seine Winde. In auf jeder Schoß mit a Tänzel geht raus. In Liebschaft schreit raus. In auf jeder Schoß mit a Tänzel geht raus. Mit Liebschaft schreit raus. Ay, du Oitayim. Ay, du Oitayim. Ay, 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 du Oitayim. Ay, Sayid Sheshtim. Ay, du Oitayim. Ay, du Oitayim. Ay, 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 du Oitayim. Ay, Sayid Sheshtim. Abayis mule oire, abayis mule toire, abayis mule kidishes zayid shishti. Abayis mule oire, abayis mule toire, abayis mule kidishes zayid shishti. Ay, du Oitayim, ay, du Oitayim. Boy, never a boy say, Vayehi, Bachatzi, Alay, Bachshefer, Gaidos leisen seine Kinder. Aber es verliebt dich alle zusammen. Vayehi, Bachatzi, Alaylo. Ob der Nacht geht weisen seine Winde. In auf jeder Haus mit a Tänzel geht raus. In mit Liebschaft schreit raus. In auf jeder Haus mit a Tänzel geht raus. Mit Liebschaft schreit raus. Wo's geht so? Ay, du Oitayim. Ay, du Oitayim. Ay, 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 du Oitayim. Ay, Sayid Sheshtim. Machamul, ay, 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 du Oitayim. Ay, 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 du Oitayim. Ay, 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 du Oitayim. Ay, Sayid Sheshtim. Abayis mule toire, abayis mule toire, abayis mule kdishes zayid sheshti. Abayis mule toire, abayis mule toire, abayis mule kdishes zayid sheshti. Ay du jüdische Stieb. Ja, ein jüdische Stieb.
Rabbi say besimcha, a Yiddish shtib. Last week I listened. Everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yes, Rabbi, we hear you.
Okay. Last week I listened via telephone to the Tolner Rebbe Shir in Yerushalayim, and he was talking about a Yiddish shtib. What does a Jewish house look like? Forgetting for the moment what he spoke about, but he left us with a very deep question. Everybody wants the Beis Hamikdash. We wash Natilas Yadayim all the time because we want the Beis Hamikdash. And when the Beis Hamikdash comes back, we're going to have to wash Natilas Yadayim. So we do it already now. We're going to talk about why in a moment. But you have to think for a moment. The Tolner Rebbe said, the Beis Hamikdash is here right now. And everybody's going to go to the market and we're going to pick out a shepsela. We're going to get a sheep, a goat. And you're going to go to the Beis Hamikdash. And we're going to slaughter the korban Pesach on Erev Pesach. And of course, the korban Pesach has to be eaten inside the walls of Yerushalayim. You can imagine how many millions of Jews were inside the walls of Yerushalayim on Pesach. And that's a separate sugya, separate topic. Millions of Jews were inside that city. And they had to take the korban Pesach after it was slaughtered. And they had to wait until nightfall to eat the korban Pesach. And they had to eat it before Chatzos. Our wonderful singer Yisrael Werdiger spoke about Vayihi b'chatzi alayla. It happened at Chatzos. And we know that Leil HaSeder, we all rush to eat the Afikomen before Chatzos. Chatzos is an unbelievable moment on the Leil HaSeder. Vayihi b'chatzi alayla. And we should know that when we eat the Afikomen, the Leil HaSeder, the Afikomen replaces the korban Pesach. We have a misconception. We think we eat the korban Pesach as if it was a meal. In the time of the Beis Hamikdash, they had a Seder like we have a Seder. And they had a Shulchan Aruch like we have a Shulchan Aruch. And they ate matzah, and they ate gefilte fish, and they ate chicken, they ate meat, they ate kugel, they ate everything, and they were full. They were full of their food. And then as a dessert, the korban Pesach came out. The korban Pesach was nechal ala soiva. The korban Pesach had to be eaten when you're already full on other food. We eat the Afikomen after the meal because that Afikomen takes the place of the korban Pesach. That's why we eat the Afikomen. So the Tolner Rebbe said, the Beis Hamikdash is here. 14th day of Adar, we go up to the Beis Hamikdash. We shech the korban Pesach. We bring it back to our homes inside the old city, whether we have homes or we're guests with other people. We wait till nightfall. We start the Seder. We eat the korban Pesach before Chatzos. But he said, Moirev Rabboisai, are our houses, Jewish houses, are you ready to bring a korban into your house? Can you imagine an animal was slaughtered in the Beis Hamikdash? It's a sanctified korban, and everybody wants to eat from the korban. Are our homes a Yiddish shtib? Are our homes Jewish homes in which you would feel comfortable bringing a piece of korban Pesach into your house? It's a piece of korban that was slaughtered on the Mizbeach in the Beis Hamikdash. We all want the Beis Hamikdash. And now the Kohen gives you the animal and says, Sarah, Leah, Rivka, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, whoever it is, man, women, we're not going to get into men, women on Pesach. It doesn't make a difference. They say, here, take it home and eat it. Are you ready to take that animal through the threshold of your house and bring it into your house? Is it a Jewish home? Is it Jewish in what's inside the house? Is it Jewish the way we live inside the house that's four walls and a roof that's ready to take into it a Korban Pesach. So when we talk about Bedikas Chametz, check your house for Chametz, the Tolner Rebbe said. There's all kinds of Chametz that are in a person's house. We have to be baidik for the physical Chametz. We have to be baidik for the spiritual Chametz. We need to make sure that when we pray, Rabbeinu Shalom, we want a Beis HaMikdash, Rabbeinu Shalom, we want a Korban Pesach, we all want the Beis HaMikdash, but is your house ready to bring the Korban Pesach inside your house, both from a physical vantage point and a spiritual vantage point? So why do we keep the mitzvah of Netilas Yadayim for all these years? Mashiach can come and say, Kinderlach, from now on, we're going back to washing our hands before we eat bread. There's 2,000 years we're washing our hands for bread. And the reason we're washing our hands for the bread is it should only be koyanim. Why are we all doing it? Because we're all waiting eagerly for the Beis HaMikdash when we're going to have to wash our hands. Say that. Every time we wash our hands, so now we have two things we learned today. First of all, when you make the bracha to wash your hands, like any other bracha, Melech Ha'olam, you are the king. You're directing the world, and your direction of the world is Hakol L'Tov. It's all for the good. We see it, we don't see it, we understand it, we don't understand it. We don't have God's machshavas, but they're Kulei L'Tov. But why do we do this for 2,000 years? Let's take a look at the handout. From a Pachad Yitzchak on Pesach. There's something called Tzipiyah Yeshua. You're looking forward to the Geula. The Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Lamed Aleph, I speak about this many times. The Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Lamed Aleph gives us a sneak preview of the test we're all going to be given after 120 years. We all like a practice test. We'd all like to know what questions are going to be on the test before the test. Chazal tell us the 6 questions that are on the test. And one of the 6 questions that God asks every person after 120 years is Tzipisa Yeshua. Tzipisa, did you look forward? Yeshua for the Yeshua. Were you looking forward to the redemption? I'll give you an introduction to what looking forward to redemption means. We don't have airplanes running now. God changed the world. Baruch Hashem, we're in Eretz Yisrael. The Rebbeinu Shalom should be able to open the skies so that our brothers and sisters in Chutz La'aretz should be able to join us here. But first, he has to open their hearts and their minds to understand that they need to get here. And I want to say something very important. People are talking using the wrong words. People are saying, when are things going to go back to normal? God forbid to talk that way. To say, when are things going back to normal, is saying to God that before COVID-19, the world was normal. And I want to go back to that normal world. The world wasn't normal before COVID-19. The perversion was everywhere. It's the kind of perversion that the Rebbeinu Shalom writes in the Torah is a toyeva. God calls it himself an abomination. The world was filled with gods considered abominations. It wasn't a normal world. And to say, can we go back to when will things go back to normal, is saying that the world before COVID-19 was normal, and I want that world back. We don't want that world back. We want a cleaner world, a better world, a finer world. And however God's plan is working itself out, we're going to have a cleaner, finer, better world when this is over very quickly. But we don't want to talk about when will things go back to normal. When will the market be 25,000 again? When will the economy be back to normal? God is working miracles here. He's changing the world in a way that it's not going to go back to the way it was, and we don't want it to go back to the way it was. And in our davening, we shouldn't be praying, Rebbeinu Shalom, can I have my old world back? The old world is siyum mesechta. We made a siyum on the old world, and now we're going to start a new mesechta. And it's such a simcha to start a new mesechta. You make a siyum on a mesechta. You start a new mesechta. The Daf Yomi people know how the simcha is. You finish a mesechta, you start a mesechta. We're going to start a new mesechta. It's going to be a wonderful, beautiful world. So we need to stop talking about going back to normal. But the Rebbeinu Shalom should open the skies so that our brothers and sisters in Chutz La'aretz should be able to come and join us here, because there is no future where they are. But the Rebbeinu Shalom has to also open their hearts and their minds to stop talking about when this is over, it'll be back to normal in Lakewood, in Williamsburg, in Borough Park, in Muncie. It's not. It's not. And stop talking that way. So the Rebbeinu Shalom has a requirement. One of the 6 questions he asks a Yid after 120 years, it's a Pesa Yeshua. Did you look forward to a Yeshua? There's a lot of ways to look forward to a Yeshua. Imagine the skies were open and your mother, your father, your son, your daughter were arriving at the airport. And they're supposed to arrive today at 3 o'clock. So you start making cheshbonos. We all do these cheshbonos. The plane is scheduled to arrive at 3:15. That's when it lands. Then it takes 20 minutes to get off the plane. It's already 3:20. Then they have to go through customs. They have to go through passport control. They have to get their luggage. No, it's already 4:15. So if I pull up my car at 4:15, I'm going to be on time. That's not Tzipiyah Yeshua. You don't want to be at the airport in a situation where the person, your father, your mother, you're coming to greet, have already walked out those doors and they're holding their suitcases and you're huffing and puffing, running in through those doors, and you say, oh, you're here already. Oh, I'm sorry. I wish I would have been here to greet you as soon as you came out the doors. We don't want to greet Mashiach with a huff puff. Oh, you came. I'm sorry, I'm 2 seconds late. If I would have known, I would have been here 2 seconds earlier. So Pesa Yeshua means my father, my mother are so important to me. My children are so important to me. The plane lands at 3. Before I go out to the airport, I check arrivals and landings. If the plane is on time, I want to be there at 3 o'clock. Why at 3? Because I want to wait for them. I want to wait. And as soon as they come out those doors, I want to run towards them, take their luggage from them, and hug them. That's a Pesa Yeshua. A person is looking forward to the Mashiach. He doesn't want Mashiach to come and get a phone call, oh, come out to the airport. He wants to be there to dance with Mashiach the moment he's there. That's a Pesa Yeshua. So we're going to talk now a little about Pesa Yeshua. I don't know if you have a Chumash in front of you. In Parshas Boy, the first Pesach we ever celebrated as a people, in Perek Yud Beis, Pasuk Yud Aleph. I talk about this pasuk every year before Pesach because it's an amazing, absolutely amazing pasuk. The Rebbeinu Shalom is not Chas v'Shalom a Hollywood producer, and he's not a Broadway producer. He's God. So the pasuk we're about to listen to is not a dramatization of some story to make it a bestseller. God's talking to the Jewish people. He says, I want you to stay inside your homes the night of Pesach. Ish al yetze mi Pesach beisayad boiker. Isolation, quarantine. Every Jew that night of Pesach was not allowed to leave his home. He had to stay inside his home. And they couldn't leave their home until morning. When they left their home in the morning, they left free people. But during the night, they were quarantined inside their homes. And they were eating Korban Pesach. And they were sitting around with their families. We should be Zoicha this year to sit with our families. And they were eating Korban Pesach. And they were singing. They were singing Hallel. And the Medrash tells us outside you heard screams of death. The Mitzrayim was screaming. And inside a Jewish home, a Yiddish shtib, inside that beautiful Jewish home, there was serenity, there was peace, there was a Korban Pesach, and there was Hallel. And the Rebbeinu Shalom now describes to us what you should look like the night of Pesach when you're eating the Korban Pesach. We should be Zeicha to eat the Korban Pesach this year. When you're sitting and eating the Korban Pesach, the Rebbeinu Shalom said to the Jewish people, "V'kacha toichlu oisai." This is how you eat it. Masnechem chagurim. I want you to have your belts on. Nalechem baraglechem. I want you to have your shoes on. Umakelechem biyetchem. I want you to have the walking sticks in your hand. V'achaltem oisai b'chipozayin pesachul Hashem. And I want you to eat the Korban Pesach b'chipazon. We'll leave that word for the moment. This is Pesach. What's God describing here? I have to have my belt on. I have to have my shoes on. My walking stick in my hand. What's he telling us here? This is not Broadway. This is not Hollywood. He's not writing a script to dramatize a scene. He's telling us that when you want to leave Mitzrayim, when you want to leave Golus, you don't wait for the knock on the door and then say, "Give me a minute, I have to put on my pants, and give me a minute, I have to get my shoes, and give me a minute, I got to get my walking stick, and in 1 minute, I'll be back with you." That's not how a Yid leaves Golus. The Rebbeinu Shalom is painting us an unbelievable picture here. Do you know how a Yid leaves Golus? A Yid leaves Golus because he's always wearing his shoes, whether physically or in attitude. His shoes are on. He's dressed. He's belted. His walking stick is in his hand. He doesn't have a minute to wait. When that knock comes on the door, he's out. He doesn't say, "Can I have a couple of minutes?" You have a couple of minutes, you don't have a tzapiyah liyeshua. If you ask, no, can I have a couple of minutes to get my accounts in order? Can I have a couple of minutes to see the last stock? Let's see where the stock was holding before I leave the house. There's no such thing. The way a Jew looks the night of Pesa, the way a Jew looks when he wants to leave Golus, his pants are belted, his shoes are on, his walking stick is in his hand, the knock comes on the door, he's out. No baggage, no luggage. 1 second, I have to get a couple of things. Nothing. Get me out of here. That's the piece of Yeshua. That's a Yid who's looking forward to a Geula. He's not waiting. He's desperate to get out. There's nothing fine or good about being in Golus. There's no goodness in being in Golus. It's the worst thing for a Yid to be in Golus. And Nebuch, we're in Golus, and we got used to Golus. And we think that we can make a life in Golus. Golus is spiritual death for Jewish people. And that's how we have to eat the Korban Pesach. The night of Pesach, we have our beautiful tables. But what we have to keep in mind is when you want to leave Golus and you're desperate to leave Golus, you're ready at the second. We wash Netilas Yadayim before bread for the last 2,000 years. Why couldn't we wait till Mashiach comes? When Mashiach comes, the knock will come on the door, knock, knock, and Mashiach will be here, and Mashiach is going to give us a whole new set of rules. And one of the rules is, Tatala, remember you have to wash your hands now when you eat bread. No, that's not the way a Jew lives. These are mitzvahs that have to do with the Beis Hamikdash. Any mitzvah that has to do with the Beis Hamikdash, I want to do it every moment of my life because I want my pants on, I want it belted, I want my walking stick in my hand, I want my shoes on. And I'm going to keep on washing the Tilas Yadayim for 2,000 years. 2,000 years, every Jew has washed his hands before he ate bread. Because every time you wash your hands to eat bread, you're saying, I want the Beis Hamikdash in the next second. It's a whole new way to wash your hands. A whole new way to wash your hands. So we wash our hands today because of COVID-19. But we also wash our hands for bread. And every time we wash our hands, Melech HaOlam, you're the sovereign of the world. You're directing the world. There's no, as I said last week, there's no chaos in the world. The world is being run by a steady hand. God is watching every moment and every person. I know what the questions are. Why did this one get sick? And why did this one get sick? And why never did this one die? Kasha. There are a lot of kashas we have under Rabbeinu Shalom. We have a kasha called Hitler. We have a kasha called Shalmaniki. We have a kasha called the Inquisition. We have a kasha called Mitzrayim. We have a kasha called Babylon. We have a kasha, plenty of kashas that we have under Rabbeinu, plenty kashas under Rabbeinu Shalom. And he has terutzim. He has terutzim. Mashiach is going to teach us, going to give us a shear that we never heard before. We'll talk about that next week and shear, the shear that Mashiach is going to give us. How do I know the shear that Mashiach is going to give us? Because the Ramchal talks about it. Eizer shear we're going to hear from the Rabbeinu Shalom. And he's going to answer all the kashas. And we shouldn't be scared to ask questions. Rabbeinu Shalom, why? We do not silence questions. Rabbeinu Shalom, why? But I have the right to ask a question, but I have to know that I also have the requirement to wait for an answer. And there's an answer. And those answers derive from Ani Mamin. I trust you, God. I've spoken here many times. Mamin does not necessarily mean I believe. Mamin means I trust. I trust you, God. We have many questions sometimes on our parents. But children that love their parents, they say, I don't understand why Tati and Mommy are making me do this. I don't get it. But where there's a trust relationship between a parent and a child, the child says, I don't understand it. Tati and Mommy are wiser, smarter, and more experienced than me. And I'm sure they're only doing this for my good. And when I'm older, maybe I'll sit at the table and say, Tati, remember when I was 12 years old, you did this and this. Maybe you can explain it to me now. Now I'm 25. I'm a little smarter than I was when I was 12. Tati, I didn't understand it then, and I love you, and I want to understand why you did this to me when I was 12. Can I perhaps get an answer now, Tati, not because I'm a mechutziv, but because I love you and I want to understand you. And there are a lot of kashas under Rabbeinu Shalom. And the Rabbeinu Shalom has a good teretz, and he's going to give us the teretz. But we have to trust him. It's trust. It's emunah. And this is the way a Jew eats his korban Pesach, with the trust that the Rabbeinu Shalom is going to have that knock on the door next second. I always say over this Maisa, it's an unbelievable Maisa. The last Ger Rebbe, the Pnei Menachem, Zechusa Yogin Aleinu, he came to America and he visited with a lot of Gedolim. We're talking now in the early 1990s. And one of the Gedolim, the Pnei Menachem, the Ger Rebbe went to see was Lubavitcher Rebbe. And Lubavitcher Rebbe had two rooms. One room was called Gan Eden Tachtoin, and one room was called Gan Eden Elyon. The lower Gan Eden and the higher Gan Eden. That's what they named the Rebbe's two private rooms. In Gan Eden Tachtoin, he met with Gedolim, and the Gedolim were able to bring in their entourage. And Lubavitcher Rebbe had his entourage with him. So there were other people listening to the discussion. And the discussions were taped. The tape of these discussions has been printed in a sefer, Siach Safei Kodesh. You can read these discussions between the Lubavitcher Rebbe and other Gedolim in a Sefer. If the Lubavitcher Rebbe or the other Gadol decided they had to talk privately with no one else listening, they went into the next room that's called Gan Eden Elyon, the higher Gan Eden. So the Pnei Menachem, the Ger Rebbe, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zechusa Yogin Aleinu, they're in the room talking in the Gan Eden Tachla, and they're being recorded. And it's a Friday. At the end of the discussion, the Pnei Menachem says to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, says to the Pnei Menachem, Mashiach soll kommen, and Mashiach should come. So Pnei Menachem said to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rebbe knows that whatever the sugya is, Mashiach's not coming on Friday. Eliyahu is not coming on Friday. Mashiach, it's a sugya in the Gemara. Why aren't they coming on Friday? Because they don't want to disturb Shabbos preparations. That gives us an idea of how important Shabbos is. They don't want to stop the women and the men getting ready for Shabbos, the kugel and the cholent, because if Mashiach came, we'd run out to dance for him. And if you run out to dance for Mashiach, who's going to make the kugel for Shabbos? So as not to disturb Shabbos preparation, Mashiach, Eliyahu do not come on Friday. Okay, but not coming on Friday. So the Pnei Menachem said to Lubavitcher Rebbe, today is Friday. He can't come today. So Lubavitcher Rebbe said, can kommen heint. Yeah, he can come today. And I'll prove it to you. So the Pnei Menachem said, but the Gemara says he can't. So Lubavitcher Rebbe said, let's go back to Mitzrayim. Avraham Avinu was told by God that his children will be slaves in Mitzrayim for 400 years. 400 years. We all know that the Jews weren't in Mitzrayim for 400 years. They were in Mitzrayim for 210 years. Comes Moshe and says, Rabbi Sai, Kinderlach, we're going out. So there were some people that said, Rebbe, it's only 210 years. I heard from my father, who heard from his father, who heard from his father, who heard from his father, that Hashem told Avraham Avinu 400. And it's only 210 now. What are you talking about, Moshe Rabbeinu? So the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, what was Moshe Rabbeinu's answer? It's a good kasha. The Rebbeinu Shalom said 400 years, and it's only 210. It's a good kasha on God. So the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, I'll tell you what Moshe Rabbeinu said. Moshe Rabbeinu said, you know what? You're right. You're right. But we're going out now. 210 years later, we're going out. But what do you do with the 400? What do you do with the 400? So Moshe Rabbeinu said, Gott et sich sorgen. God will worry about his cheshbonis. We're going now. And everybody knows who's learned Rashi. Rashi has a cheshbon how you calculate the 400 years. You calculate the 400 years from the birth of Yitzchak. From the birth of Yitzchak. When was Yitzchak born, Rabbi Sai? Pesach. We know that from Parshas Vayera. He was born Pesach. And 400 years to the day that Yitzchak was born, the Jews left Mitzrayim. Now, why do we start counting from the day Yitzchak was born? Because it says, where God decreed 400 years, it says, Ki ger yeh zaracha be'eretz lo lahem. Your children will be strangers in a land that's not theirs. Avraham Avinu was given this promise when Avraham Avinu was 70 years old at the Bris Bein Absarim. It took 30 years for Yitzchak to be born. Avraham was 100 when Yitzchak was born. As soon as Yitzchak was born, Avraham now has children. And the pasuk says, God said, your children will be strangers in a land that's not theirs. From the moment Yitzchak was born, Avraham has children. And Yitzchak now lived in a land that wasn't his. The Jews didn't come to Eretz Yisrael until Yoshua took them across the Jordan River and brought them into Eretz Yisrael. But while Yitzchak was alive, and Yaakov was alive, and Yosef were alive, all those years, Jews were living in a land that wasn't yet theirs. So the 400 years, Rashi says, begins with the birth of Yitzchak. The actual time the Jews spent in Mitzrayim was 210 years. So Lubavitch Rebbe said, listen, is always a kasha. Moshe Rabbeinu said, we're going. So they raised their hands and they said, what are you talking about? 210 years. It has to be 400. Moshe Rabbeinu said, listen, we're going now. And anybody that has a kasha on God about the 400 years, God will answer it. And God answered it. And he answered it through Chazal. And Rashi quotes the Chazal. The 400 years are 400 years, but we miscalculated. They start from the birth of Yitzchak. So Lubavitch Rebbe said to the Bnei Menachem, I know what the Gemara says. Excuse me. I know what the Gemara says, that he can't come on Erev Shabbos. I know. But the same way that we couldn't leave Mitzrayim for 400 years, but God found a way to take us out after 210, and the cheshbon of 400 does work. Mashiach can come on Friday. We have a kasha, it says he can't come on Friday. The Rebbe Shalom will have a teretz for that too. And this is the meaning in the Rambam. Ani mamin b'emunah shalema b'vias HaMashiach. The Rambam writes in the Yud Gimel Ani Mamins, I believe that Mashiach is coming, and even if he is delayed, I wait for him every day. What does the Rambam want with the word b'chol yom? Every day, and Friday and Shabbos too. The Kesef Mishnah, the Beis Yosef's Pirush on the Rambam, he writes that according to the Rambam, Mashiach can come on Friday, come on Shabbos. B'chol yom. There's no day, there's no second that he can't come. There's no day, there's no second that the corona can't go away. We have to believe B'emunah Shalema. Stop listening to what people are saying. 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, next winter. I don't know. An imam in B'emunah Shalema, that the God who created the world in 6 days, he runs the world. And the same way that all of a sudden corona came to the world, it was unbelievable. I remember a couple of, I don't know if it was even 2 months yet, I was sitting and reading a story about some cruise ship with thousands of people on it. They have some kind of virus and the ship couldn't dock anywhere. We didn't know what it was. All right, it's a story. Some people on a ship are sick and nobody knows what it is. It's only a couple of weeks later and the whole world is topsy-turvy. And the same way it happened in a second, it's going to go away in a second when the Rebbeinu Shalom wants it to go away. And it's going to go away when he's Melech HaOlam, when he's the king of the universe. He's tapping us on our shoulders and on our backs, and he's saying, I want your attention. I want you to see I'm Melech HaOlam. I'm the sovereign. Wash your hands and put your life in my hands. I'm the Melech HaOlam. I brought it to the world. I can take it away from the world in a split second. But we have to have that Tzipisa Yeshua, that belief, looking forward to Mashiach coming. Take just another few minutes to take a look at the Pachad Yitzchak, the beautiful Pachad Yitzchak about what Tzipia Yeshua means. What does it mean to look forward to Geula? At the top of the page, the Pachad Yitzchak quotes a pasuk in Divrei Hayomim. David HaMelech, we know, wanted to build the Beis HaMikdash but couldn't. He bought the property, which we call Har HaBayis. It's our Har HaBayis. It's our Har HaBayis. It's our Har HaBayis. And when David HaMelech purchased that land, and God said, you can't build the Beis HaMikdash for whatever reason, Shlomo, your son, will build it. In Divrei Hayomim, there's a pasuk that says that David HaMelech prayed. What did David HaMelech pray? Shamra zois la'olam. God, hold this second, hold this moment forever. Liyetze machshavois levav amecha. God, hold this moment forever. This moment of the thought of the Jewish people of how much they want to build the Beis Hamikdash. Can anybody imagine? Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine God coming to David HaMelech and saying, David, you can't build the Beis Hamikdash. You can't. It's going to have to wait for your son. After David HaMelech's Tehillim, after being such a wonderful servant to the Rebbeinu Shloim, all the sorrows that David HaMelech suffered from his enemies, from his friends, from his children, and he went and he bought the land of the Harabayas, and he's ready to build. The Rebbeinu Shloim says, David, not you. And David keeps on saying Tehillim. He keeps on praising God. David HaMelech had a kasha on God. He had kashas on God. God, after everything, I can't build the Beis Hamikdash. Moshe Rabbeinu had kashas on God. God, after 40 years of leading these people, I can't go into Eretz Yisrael. Rebbeinu Shalom, what is this? I'll go to kashas. All the kashas will be answered. But David HaMelech said, Rebbeinu Shalom, hold this moment. Shomra Zois La'olam. Hold this moment. There's a moment here, Rebbeinu Shalom. I have such an outpouring in my heart that I want to build the Beis Hamikdash. I want to do it. It's such a strong outpouring in my heart. God, take that moment and keep it forever. It's such a precious moment that's right now in my heart. God, it's my gift to you. It's my gift to you. You told me I can't build it, but I want so desperately in my pintel in the neshama. I want so desperately to build it. Look in my heart of hearts. It's my gift to you. It's my gift to you, God, that I have such a deep yearning to build your Beis Hamikdash, and I can't give you the Beis Hamikdash. I can give you my heart's yearning for the Beis Hamikdash. It's my gift to you. So our footnote says as follows in Siman Hey. Etzorach ladas klal shekol aliyah ba'avoda benuyahi me'etztafes rishom shel zmani esayres. We need to know the whole world runs on hadroga. It works in steps. We don't wake up 1 second and all of a sudden with tzaddikim gemurim. We have to go through a process. The world, as I spoke about several weeks ago, we live in a world called the process world. Things go in stages. And the way our Avodas Hashem works is we all know this. We have days where we have an unbelievable Shmoina Esrei. And then we have days where we don't daven that well. And in our hearts, we say, why can't I have that kind of Shmoina Esrei all the time? There are times where we do a mitzvah with such a tremendous kavanah, and there are times we don't have kavanah. We say to ourselves, why can't I do this all the time? Avodas Hashem is built on those moments. We say life is made up of moments. What do we have pictures for today? We go back, we look at wedding pictures from our children. We look at the bar mitzvahs of our grandchildren, because those are the moments we want to keep. Those are the moments that keep us going. Life is made up of special moments. And in our ruchnias, in our spiritual lives, it's made up of moments. There was a Shmoina Esrei I daven bekavona. Rebbeinu Shalom, hold on to that moment. It's my gift to you. There's a mitzvah I did with a tremendous kavona. Rebbeinu Shalom, I'm human. I can't always do it that way. I can't. But this is my gift to you. Halavai, I should be able to do it more often. But it's like glue. Rebbeinu Shalom, you have that Shmoina Esrei I davened a couple of weeks ago. It was unbelievable, right? It was unbelievable, Rebbeinu Shalom. I'd like you to take all the Shmoina Esrei since then and glue it to that Shmoina Esrei. Glue it to it. I'm human, Rebbeinu Shalom. I can't do it all the time. But I did it. When things were more calm and I had the ability, I did it. And now take all the other Shmoina Esreis and glue it to that Shmoina Esrei. And that's how Avodas Hashem is built. There's one Avodas Hashem that's very difficult. Rafutna says, 5 lines into the paragraph, Avol shoyne hi avodas sepir li Yeshua binyan zeh. Looking forward to the Geula is completely different. Shalafi hateva kol tzipia she'ena mismales mashmira sour taste. Rav Lubling wrote the word sour taste into the Maimah. Tzipia liyeshua. I'm looking so forward to Mashiach. He's coming today. Lubling said he's coming today. And he's coming today. I understand it and I know it. Chas v'sholem, if he doesn't come today, so we go to sleep tonight and we say, oh, he didn't come. And if you keep on living that way, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. How much longer shall I look forward to this? People have been looking forward for this for 2,000 years. How much longer shall I look forward to it? So this whole mitzvah of tzapisa liyeshua, look forward to Mashiach coming. What happens when you tell a child, today we're going to go out to get a Playmobil? The day goes by, he comes over to you and he says, we didn't get the Playmobil. You say, I'm sorry, I know I promised you the Playmobil. Things got busy. Tomorrow we're going to get the Playmobil. The next day, you go out and you still don't get him the Playmobil. You got busy. And he's a good child. At the end of the day, he says, Tati, it's already 2 days. Where's the Playmobil? Tomorrow. How many times can you say tomorrow to a child before he loses trust in you altogether? Tzipiyah liyeshua is a mitzvah that leaves a sour taste in our mouth. Every day that goes by, the taste gets more sour. I looked for this yesterday. I looked for it the day before. I was waiting at my door. My pants were on, my belt was on, my shoes were on, my walking stick was in my hand, and I was waiting for the knock on the door. And I've been waiting for that knock on the door for 2,000 years, and I haven't heard the knock. I already have a sour taste in my mouth from these promises. Looking forward to something that doesn't come true, it weakens the person, and it results in the person giving up hope. Valzeh, skipping a line to where it's underlined, Valzeh bo bakashim yuchedes mi David. And that's why David said this in his prayer to the Rabbeinu Shalom when he bought the Har HaBayis and he wanted to build the Beis HaMikdash. Sham rezais la'olam, Rabbeinu Shalom, help me. I want to keep this moment in my heart. It's my gift to you. I want so desperately to build the Beis HaMikdash. But this is a moment in my life. And I'm looking forward to build the Beis HaMikdash. Can you help me keep this fire and passion burning every day in my life? Because the normal life of a human being is the longer he waits for something, the less passionate he is about it. He gives up on it. Rabbeinu Shalom, Sham Rezais La'olam. And for men, I don't know if women say Uval Tzion, but in Uval Tzion that we say yes to Ashrei Lam Natseach, we say this pasuk. We say this pasuk, Sham Rezais La'olam. Rabbeinu Shalom, David HaMelech begged you to help him. He offered you a gift, that moment in his heart where he wanted and yearned to build the Beis HaMikdash that he couldn't. The yearning was his gift to you, and I want to keep that yearning alive. I don't want the yearning to become a sour taste in my mouth. I never want to give up the passion for the Beis HaMikdash. But it's 2,000 years, Rabbeinu Shalom, you have to help me. I want to keep the fire and passion alive. Even though it doesn't happen, even aftertaste. Leaves an aftertaste, leaves a bad taste. Rebbeinu Shalom, help us here. Help us to appreciate life. Help us to appreciate that we live in Eretz Yisrael. Help our brothers and sisters in Chutz La'aretz to stop talking about going back to normal. Open their minds and open their hearts that their proper place and their only place for living is in Eretz Yisrael. Open the skies to bring them here. El Al is doing an amazing job. They went to Peru, b'mesiras nefesh. They brought back 1,000 young men and women. B'mesiras nefesh mamish. And they're bringing back, if you want to come back to Eretz Yisrael, Elal will find a way to get you back here. Ribbon Shalom, open the hearts and the minds of those Yidden that they should want to come. Ribbon Shalom, open the skies so that Elal can fly and bring them here. Ribbon Shalom, I want to have a good taste in my mouth. I don't want to have a sour taste. I've been looking forward for 2,000 years. I've been washing the Tilas Yadayim before I eat bread for 2,000 years. And I do so many things because I have a passion in my heart. And my pants are belted, and my shoes are on. My walking stick is in my hand. And I want you to knock on the door. And that's one of the reasons for the halacha on Pesach. Ein maftirin acha ha-Pesach Afikomen. You're not allowed to eat after the Afikomen. And the reason you're not allowed to eat after the Afikomen is kadei she'yishor tam matzah b'piv. When you go to sleep, the taste of the matzah must be in your mouth. And as I said earlier, the Afikomen takes the place of the Korban Pesach. In the days of Korban Pesach, which are coming this year, you were not allowed to eat after you ate the Korban Pesach because you had to go to sleep with that taste in your mouth, not a sour taste, not the taste of expectations that were disappointed. 2,000 years of expectation. We're going to go to sleep Pesach at night with the tam matzah and the tam Pesach in our mouths. You're not allowed to eat after the Pesach. You have to have that fine taste of geula in your mouth. The matzah of geula has to be in your mouth. You go to sleep. If you need a little water, you need a little tea. Yeah? But you have to have the taste of matzah in your mouth when you go to sleep. And that's how a Yid keeps Pesach. He keeps Pesach. Rabbi Sai, everybody get ready. Everybody get ready. The Bedikas Chametz of the physical house. The Bedikas Chametz, your house is a spiritual house. It should be a Yiddish shtib. It should be a bayis mala oira, a bayis mala toira, a bayis mala kedusha. And we should be able to walk out of our doors and dance and say, Rabbeinu Shalom, da voint a Yid. Everybody stay well. Everybody be healthy. Melech ha'olam when you make a bracha. When you wash your hands for Netilas Yadayim, it's because we're looking forward to the Beis HaMikdash. Reprioritize your lives. There are so many little things that preoccupied us in the pre-COVID-19 world. Little things that got us upset that were silly. Little things that we put so much time into that were silly. Now we have the opportunity to do big, big things. There are older people that need help. There are soldiers you can send packages to. Contact Mrs. Shamroth. She knows how to do it. You can contact online Kaveret. They are very good. I just sent a package to my son. Think about the soldiers who need food. Think about the elderly. Give them a call. Is there something you need? Call your neighbor. Even if you can't do anything, call a couple of people a day just to be machazik them. Call people. How are you? What's doing? How do you feel? This is the world of the COVID-19 where the Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to help each other. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to help each other and to look forward to Mashiach Tzidkenu B'mher B'yameinu Amen. Everybody's gesund.